just going to do a small little review on this Precision 530 from Dell. This one here was actually given to me by a dear friend of mine who actually was looking to donate it to somebody, and he figured that I could possibly use it. This one here is using two Xeon 1.5 processors, a single core with 2 gigs of RAM bus memory on it. So basically this here is running server processors on it that were fast at the time, and not only this was also considered a workstation way back then. So as you can see on the top over here, floppy is already included. That's already comes by factory default. I had included in a DVD player and a CD-ROM writer at one point. This was actually being used with Windows XP with the latest service packs, and since Windows XP is being discontinued as of this April 8th, I've decided to go actually and revamp the system to something else, since the hard drive that I was using on here actually died on me, figuring that it was possibly a BIOS problem with the battery. So after purchasing a new battery for it, it turned out to be actually the hard drive. So what I had done is actually took out the two older hard drives that I had in there, and I replaced it with a 40 gig Maxtor and a 250 gigabyte Western Digital. So I have it as C and D drive. So let's take a look on the inside here, and I'm also going to let you know certain things I'm going to be adding on to this. The replacement DVD writer that you see there, the second one right here, I'm actually going to be replacing it with a DVD writer, so I'll be able to use two reader and a writer that plays DVDs and records CDs as well. So let's take a look on the inside of what this beast actually has. So here we're back inside the machine. Going from the left that you see here, where you have the bright light shining, that's the 512 megabyte RAM bus to bring the system up to 2 gigs of RAM. And like I said, here are the two processors. The one that I'm shining brightly on is the primary processor, and that's the secondary one right there. So this is a 2 single core 1.5 Xeon processors that are in there. So there's 2 of them in there physically. Now going right over here, and just before I go over to here talking about those guys, this one is unique with the Precisions. This one in particular, for the Xeon Precisions, these little items here, that's right next to the processor, is a voltage regulator. So this here is actually using to give the voltage to the processors themselves. This little guy here, the one that's in the GP port, is my GeoForce FX 5200 with 128 megs of RAM. That's for the video itself. The thing in between that is an extra set of USB ports that I needed to get on there, version 2.0. Now this one here, here we go. Bringing in slightly above that there, that you see there where it says Win TV. It's a bad angle, I know, for it. That one there is the PVR from Hodgepodge. It's the PVR 500, which is basically a TV tuner. 2 TV tuners in there. So I can basically record 2 different shows at the same time on this machine. Or under this machine, or do live sessions like with a webcam, with a camera that's with a coaxial cable, or that has the the left, right, and video on it. Now going up here, might a big fan over there. That's for cooling from the front. This mess here that you see, there's the 2 drives right there. So this one right here that you see here, right next to where my finger is pointing, is the 40 gig hard drive, and right underneath that is the 250 gig hard drive. And I just basically installed the new DVD burner Those are neat there. So I do have a DVD burner and writer. This here, also before I forget, these two fans here that you see right in front of me here by the processors, those are the cooling fans. Initially, I had to take out the manifold, or this green guy here, to actually gain access to this. That's usually covered by this, and that's the ones to cool the fan here. Now, just to mention here as well, since I'm going away from using Microsoft Windows XP specifically, because like I said, that's actually gone as of officially April the 9th or April the 8th. It's no longer going to be supported. So what I've done here is I've decided to go with a version of Linux and make this as a video editing machine. So that's why I have the two drives there, a 40 gig drive for the Linux software and the operating system go on it, and the 250 gig drive as for the main place there to save the data on and also make the recordings onto. So that's what I'm going to do there. What I'm also going to do as well is to show you, if I have a chance, is also to get it up and running with this here running with Linux on it, and be able to show you what we can do with it. Okay? So next step is hook it up and have some fun.
Here we go. This is basically Ubuntu Studio, which is a distribution of Linux. And what I have done is I've already installed this on the Precision 530 like I had showed you earlier on. Basically showing you the inside guts and all that. What I'm just going to quickly do here is just to show you a quick little thing that I was able to actually install. It's called sysinfo, which is basically a small little app that gives you the actual hardware stuff, so you can actually see what I'm talking about here. So with this version of Ubuntu Linux is using Ubuntu 13.10 Saucy. The actual interface that we're using here, it's marked Genome, but it's actually Genome and XFCE, so it's a combination of the two, which is a lighter graphical interface on it. So it makes it a lot easier to work with, and it doesn't take up that much. It's not that heavy as a graphical user interface. And the kernel itself is a low latency kernel. Like this one here, it's showing low latency kernel SMP, which is basically short for symmetric multiprocessing. It's used for those type of processors that you have two or more cores. Like in this case here, I'm basically running two processors at the same time. So this is two Xeon 1.5 gigahertz processors on it, so it'll be able to use both processors on it. Memory wise, which we're just going to right now, it's like I said, 2 gigs of RAM, and this is an extra swap space that I have, which is basically close to 5 gigs. So that's not really being used at this point, the extra 5 gigs, but it's always good to have just in case. Now here, comes to the fun part, are the actual hard drives. So like I mentioned to you earlier today, with the actual usage, I also have a 40 gig Mac store, which is where the OS and the applications reside. The next one after that is the Western Digital 250 gig drive. So this is the other one that is actually where the data is going to be left off at. And then of course, last but not least, the CD-ROM burner, which is from Sony that I have there, and also an Acer CD-ROM drive, just not a CD-ROM, a DVD-ROM drive. So that's those ones right there. So this part here, this is just basically the interfaces and all that, which don't really come in handy per se. Doesn't give you that much of an information here. It's just basically chipsets. Here we go. For the graphics card, like I had mentioned to you earlier, it's an NVIDIA GeoForce FX 5200, and the hardware itself, as for the networking card, is of course the 3Com 905C 10100 networking card. Now the thing here, I remember seeing somewhere where it was showing you the Xeon processors here. Now where is that located? Is somewhere around here. It's either at one place or another. It's one of the two. Storage. Ah, here we go. CPU. Here we go. CPU General Intel Xeon 1.5 gigahertz frequency. It's showing 1495.334, but it's actually 1500. It's just a little difference, a very minor difference. When you take a look at the BIOS itself, it actually shows that there. Now, with that being said, here is actually Ubuntu Studio, where it's already been pre-configured with some stuff already out of the package. Here we have your audio production, where if you're dealing with voice, like radio studio quality type of stuff, this is what some of the applications you would have here to be able to use this. If you're into photography or into graphic design, like animation, I should say, we have the graphics design like Blender 3D, font design, GIMP. GIMP is actually used as well as in photography, which is a good little application. Just to get that loaded up, just to show you, it's something similar to like Photoshop, but besides Photoshop, you have to pay through the nose, which is a good application, which I'll say, and I've used Photoshop 6 a long time ago. GIMP 2.8 here does about the same thing, but it's also free, and you can get this downloaded for Windows XP or the version of Windows that you currently are running. So whether you're using Windows XP, Windows 2000, Windows 7, Windows 8.1, this will work on all of them. You just have to go to GIMP's website and actually download it. It'll give you an option to actually do so. So while we're waiting here for this to just quickly load up, it takes a little while because it's adding all the extensions and all that as it loads up. While we are waiting for that, or is it almost done? We don't know yet. It's coming up. Here we go. So basically you'll have your image area right here with your options as for the type of tools and all that. So that's always good to have here. So here, let me just quickly exit out there. There we go. Now we also have photography again, like we saw before. I just opened up GIMP before. You get some other things for your photography stuff. What I'm going to be mainly using here is the video production. So I have Blender to do some little bits of animation here and there. If I'm using, let's say, to do some intros, titles, and all that, Blender 3D is very good for that. There's also a Bararo DVD styler, Inkscape, Qden Live, Open Shot Video Editor is the one I'm going to be using for this, because I'm going to be doing it on this machine here. So just to let you know, it will be using 2 processors when it does the encoding for this. Record My Desktop is the software I'm using right now to actually record what we're doing here, so you can actually see what it looks like without getting all that flicker on the screen like you usually see in some instances. Another one is Stop Motion, which basically does like claymation as an example, but you can do that for like stick figures, claymation type of thing, but it's all on the screen. Subtitle editor, video, Xperio, and here this section here is for publication, and they do come with little add-ons like Scribus, just to load that up, just to let you see what it looks like, and I'll also load up the other editor as well, just to give you an idea of what it actually looks like. These things are actually all free on the web that you can get. Scribus is one of them that is actually free. You can actually download it directly from there, as well as Ubuntu Studio here. This is also free, and I can actually show you where you can actually get that on the web. It's just a couple of clicks away in regards to it, and it's not that bad. Download size is about 2.9 gigs, and then you have to burn it onto CD, which shouldn't be much of a problem if you have high speed internet, and just let it download and burn it. This, like I said, Scribus is just taking a little while to load up, and this here you can actually do desktop publishing, as well as create your own little leaflets and all that, which is a nice little application. to be used. As you saw earlier on that I had some other areas here. Here we go. Here's Scribus. And now it's opening up as if there's going to be a new document created, so you can actually go through what you want to do for the template document itself and start sizing it to the way with the templates over here. So new menus, here we go. Business cards if you want to create your own business cards. There's a whole slew of them on here. Now I'm just going to close that there, and I'll actually open up that one other application for the actual editor, which is OpenShot Video Editor. This is the one that I'll be using to do this edit with for this particular run for my Precision 530 that I have here. This is with the 1.5 gigahertz on it. And here we go. Just open it up, and this is basically, you can actually import all your all your files. So if you have video, pictures, and all that, you can actually get all that imported in here directly, including your audio. So if you have any voiceovers, you can actually add that in. So that it actually comes in handy when you need to do this directly on your computer. So that's basically about it. In order to teach this part of it, that'll be another episode entirely with OpenShot on Ubuntu Studio. Now, the last part of the thing here that I wanted to show you was that when I got this installed, certain things were missing in it, so I added some things like some games, you know, if I feel like playing, like Burger Space, which is actually a nice little runoff of Burger Time. I don't know if you remember that when you were a kid, but I do remember playing this game out on the arcades. This is one of those ones which is very similar and I thought was really cute. Besides that, I installed Chrome as an alternative web browser, FileZilla, and of course Pigeon for chatting over the internet with different accounts, like if you have Yahoo, you know, Google Talk, a couple other ones like that. And there is also another one here which actually will help out as well if you're into Facebook, which is Empathy. That there you can actually do a chat directly on Facebook chat separately on it, so that's another good thing. The other thing that I've also added in here, some of these ones here are good for viewing, but they don't have all their codecs with them. What I've done is I've also downloaded VLC Media Player. This one has the recent, more up-to-date drivers for the codecs. So I've used this 99% of the time, which is a great thing to have. As well, I've also included some office stuff, like LibreOffice to do writing, doing some, you know, drawings and all that, calc, database, and a few other things here that I thought, you know, why not add them in? It's not going to be that more difficult. And last but not least, let me show you that one place that I was going to go to, which is also handy for you. If you ever want to check out one of the 350 plus versions of Linux, sorry about that, they would actually show you what's available, and there's always new ones coming out, and this is coming off from people creating their own distribution because it's free, just because of the fact that you can get it downloaded. Some of it you can get for free, other ones you have to pay for. Here's my blog site that I'm also going to be posting the actual video as well with the documentation. So if you want to take that one down, go to compucore.wordpress.com. It's going to be there within the next little bit there, and I'll also put this into the link into the video as well down below, so you'll see that as well. So this is something you can actually view on your own time. And now let's go over to distrowatch.com. Here we go. Where is it? There we go. Come on. Here we go. Oh, is it there? Yeah, here we go. Distrowatch.com. This is the other site that I would usually go to take a look for an alternative to Windows. Not to put Windows down, believe you me, I've used it since Windows 3.1. It's great to use. Office people use it. And as well, not only that, as many of you may know already, as of April the 8th, Windows XP is no longer supported. So no longer are the driver patches going to be made for it. No Microsoft Security Essentials is going to be not going to be working anymore. What a great way to actually go and try something different and upgrade your system with possibly Linux as an alternative. You can still go and purchase Windows 7 if it is still available, as well as you can take a look into Windows 8 and 8.1. Those two are the most recent from Microsoft Windows, which you would have to double check because there is a link on the net to actually download a small little file to actually check if your current system that you have is capable of running that. If it's not, and you still love using your current system, you don't want to change it out, what a better way of just updating your Windows computer to a Linux. But even before you convert over to that, the one thing I usually will tell people, back up your data. If you have stuff like your resume, your account, any banking information and all that on your computer, music, videos that you have, back those up onto an external hard drive, which are cheap these days. You can get a 2 terabyte hard drive, I mean, insanely cheap. Back it up onto those, just simply copy them over. That way you can have instant access with them, and you can easily download it back onto your hard drive after you've done the upgrade to Linux as an alternative, or over to Windows 7 or Windows 8.1. That would be the best and easiest way as an alternative to just sticking one or the other, or sticking with just one and saying, well, I should have done this. Most people, myself, I've taken a look at Ubuntu Linux as an alternative for the last couple of years, and for me, I think I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to be migrating my other computers over to Linux, just for the fact is it's a lot less headaches. And for this time around, what I'm going to let you do is let you go, and I'll say goodbye and have yourself a wonderful day. I hope if you do like this, please subscribe, put a plus, put a plus on this for me, thumbs up for it, and see you on the next one. Take care, guys.